So yesterday we were discussing about the classical approach, isn't it? We discussed about classical approach, then we discussed about the scientific management theory. So these were two important theories which we discussed. And in today's class, we are going to discuss about the approaches to bureaucracy. Initially, while speaking about public administration, we were speaking about the role of bureaucracy also. So all of you have a little knowledge about what bureaucracy is, isn't it? Bureaucracy, we have discussed that bureaucracy is very important for the functioning of public administration, isn't it? Because whatever the decisions are being taken, those have to be implemented for the welfare of the people, isn't it? So who does that? That is the role and responsibility of the bureaucracy. Now, today, in this class, we are going to discuss about the approaches to bureaucracy. And in our syllabus, we have Max Weber and Karl Marx. So whenever we talk about bureaucracy, the first word, the first thinker who comes to our mind is Max Weber. His contribution is very important to the study of public administration. And his contribution is considered as a milestone in describing how the bureaucracy should be, what are its characteristics, features, and all. So today we are going to discuss about Max Weber's bureaucracy. Weber, according to the Weber, state is nothing but it has got a legitimate authority to exercise power over its people. Now, initially, we discussed that society is nothing but a group of people living together, isn't it? So when a group of people are living together, there should be regulation of, whatever the living conditions. There should be conflict, avoiding of the conflicts, chaos. There should be the stability, law and order should be maintained. So for this purpose, some kind of power should be exercised. So according to Weber, state possesses the legitimate authority, that is the authority legally to exercise power over its people. And when we say state exercises its power, then who actually exercises? According to Weber, it is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy exercises authority over its people, that is the power of command on behalf of the state. Max Weber's state of bureaucracy is based on the notion of rational legal authority. You should remember this word, rational legal authority. This is very important when we talk about Max Weber's bureaucracy, because the entire, the discussion of bureaucracy rests upon the legal rational authority, which is proposed by Max Weber. So what actually is legal rational authority and all, we will discuss in today's class. And he has also given the different characteristic features of bureaucracy as well. So now before actually looking into the contribution of Max Weber, let us discuss about Max Weber's life very briefly. Max Weber was born in the year 1864 in Prussia, which is now Germany. So we can say that Max Weber is a German sociologist, and he is also a political economist. Basically, he studied law, then he joined Berlin University, and he was also, a teacher of law, and he has completed his doctorate, and the topic of his thesis was a contribution to the history of medieval business organization. This title you can remember in case you want to remember from the examination point of view also. So basically, you have to remember that Max Weber is a German sociologist born in the year 1864, and his major contribution is about bureaucracy. He presented sociology, he discussed different aspects of sociology as a science of human action. Now we have discussed, while discussing about the relationship between public administration and other social sciences. In that, we have discussed about sociology also. Sociology is nothing but the study of society, the people, their behavior and all, isn't it? So he was one of the prominent sociologists as well. So if you try to just look over the background of Max Weber, or for that matter, any administrative thinker, you observe that they are not restricted to one particular subject. They are either sociologists, they practice law, and they are a good administrative thinker. So all these things, what do we come to conclusion? That any subject cannot be studied independently. They are multidisciplinary. So today in major of the universities worldwide, there is a lot of emphasis on multidisciplinary studies. That is, the government is encouraging the studies which are in the multidisciplinary nature. But if we see long back also, all the prominent thinkers, or we can say social scientists, they belong to the different disciplines. That is sociology, political science, economics, law, and all. So this shows the importance of the different disciplines and how they are related to each other. Then in this class, we are also going to study about Karl Marx. So Karl Marx is also coincidentally from Prussia. He was a philosopher, economist, and a sociologist as well. And besides that, he was also a journalist. So we can call him as a revolutionary sociologist because his thought process was a little bit revolutionary. And he was born in the year 1818. Mainly, he's very famous because of his book. He has written several books and he has authored, he has given several, he has added to the subject of sociology, but the critique of Hegel's philosophy of right. That is, this book has gained a lot of prominence, importance of Karl Marx. So now let us discuss about Karl Marx bureaucracy, which is very interesting, and we can relate it to the present bureaucracy also. So you can just, you can try to relate how the bureaucracy of the present times is, what bureaucracy Max Weber has postulated, whether we can compare it with the present times, with the present contemporary times, or is there any change of the bureaucracy which has been put forward by Max Weber? So let us see. Okay, so Max Weber, he has formulated the concept of bureaucracy, through the legitimate authority. I told you legitimate authority. We keep hearing this term, legitimate authority, while we talk about Max Weber's bureaucracy, because according to him, bureaucracy can exercise power only through legitimate authority. Now, why are we emphasizing? Why are we focusing on the term legitimate authority? Because there are different types of authorities, which we will discuss now. And especially the bureaucracy which we are talking about is based on legitimate authority. So for him, bureaucracy is nothing but an administrative structure developed through rational legal authority. Now, who has coined the term bureaucracy? In fact, actually, when we speak about bureaucracy, the first person who comes to our mind is Max Weber. But actually, the term bureaucracy has been coined by de Gournay. Okay, de Gournay was a French economist who has first coined the term bureaucracy. But the bureaucracy concept was, it was expanded by Max Weber. And yesterday also, we were discussing about scientific management, isn't it? Though the scientific management was, postulated, or, the principles were given by Taylor. Who coined the term scientific management? Do you remember? It was Louis Brandeis. He was a person who has coined the term scientific management. In the same way, though we talk about Max Weber's bureaucracy, initially the term has been coined by French economist de Gaulle. So now, according to the Weber, what is bureaucracy? How did he define bureaucracy? It is an administrative body of appointed officials. Administrative body of appointed officials. Here, the term appointed assumes a lot of importance. Now, why does it assumes importance? Because they are not elected. They're not elected, but they are appointed by an authority. Okay, so bureaucracy is nothing but it is an administrative body of appointed officials. Then Weber also said that bureaucracy is nothing but it is a power elite, and it has three important assets or features, we can say, that is expertise, information, and access to secrets. These are the three important assets of bureaucracy according to the Max Weber. Now, expertise is, how does expertise come? How do you gain knowledge? How you can become more skillful? That is because of the knowledge you gain. That is because of the study you make. The expertise comes. Then information. You must have the information in order to perform certain activities. In order to implement certain actions, definitely you need information. Then access to secrets. Now, many of the government files or government information is secret for various reasons. Even earlier, till recently, before the Right to Information Act also, most of the decisions or most of the GOs which were given by the government, they were not revealed to the people. They were called as the secret documents. But after the Right to Information Act has come, except very few, like the matters which are which is a threat, which they feel it is a threat to the nation's security or related to the defense, or very few matters can be kept as secret to the general public. Other than whatever the information is there, whether it is related to the kind of amount is being sanctioned for a particular thing. Suppose in your village or in your town, there is a school building and it has been collapsed. That is the old school. If the new school building is constructed, then you have every right to ask, under Right to Information Act, how much money is being spent for the construction of the building and who is the person, the contractor, and all such matters. But earlier, suppose if you would go and ask in the government office, probably you could have received the answer or not. So the kind of secrecy was maintained. And this was one of the characteristic feature also, as mentioned by the Max Weber. Now, the power of bureaucracy makes it more powerful, the kind of authority it enjoys. And Max Weber stated that suppose there is no bureaucracy in the society, what will happen? Can society exist? According to the Max Weber, if suppose there is no bureaucracy in the society, then there is, chaos. There will be no stability. So this was the opinion of Max Weber. And he also insisted that bureaucracy is a technical instrument of administration. Now, the administration, when whatever we are calling as public administration, it has to implement the different, programs or different schemes of the government and all. So definitely it has got different technical and scientific aspects. So according to Weber, bureaucracy is a technical instrument of administration, and it can only provide the stability, law and order in the society. And you can say that Max Weber is the first administrative thinker who studied the relationship between the state, society. And, since, as I told you in the beginning of the class, he was a student of law as well. So he he emphasized and he really understood the significance of power, authority, and legitimacy. And, he differentiated between them. Now, let us see the concept of authority. Now, what actually authority according to the Max Weber is? Now, generally, we talk about power, authority, and all. So Max Weber has given the concept of power and authority. So now let us see what it is. Power is, basically it is an ability to force the people, okay, to obey orders. Now suppose a person may accept it or not. There could be some kind of resistance. Even then, if you try to influence a particular person, then that is a power. But authority is a state where the persons can obey the orders because it is legitimate. That is, the authority comes from law, whereas the power might be forceful, but authority need to be voluntarily accepted because that comes from the law of the state. So that is the basic difference between power and authority as explained by Max Weber. So while discussing about authority, Max Weber has given 5 important components. Now what is that? Suppose I am exercising authority over you. Okay, here I'm giving this example to make you understand. Now, according to Weber, there are 5 components. The first is an individual or a body of individuals who rule. That means who give orders. Okay, so that is very essential. Now, when one person has to accept the authority of the other, there should be certainly a person who can give you orders or who can command you. That is the first thing. Second is an individual and or body of individuals. Here, a body of individuals means a group of people. Okay, a one person or a group of people who are ruled. That is, now when I command, when I give order, my authority will be fruitful only when there are other people to receive, isn't it? When there are no other people to receive my authority, then the authority process is not complete. Okay. Authority, for authority, there should be a person who can give order, who can give command, who can exercise authority. At the same time, there should be some people, it could be an individual or a group of people who are able to receive that particular command, particular order. And the third point, according to Max Weber, which is the component of authority, is the will of the rulers to influence the conduct of the ruled. Now, if I must have that kind of will, or I must have that kind of in mind that I have to influence you, I have to command you. That will is very important. If I don't feel like giving a command or giving instructions, then definitely there will be no exercise of authority. And the fourth point, according to the Max Weber, is the evidence of the influence of the rulers in terms of objective degree of command. That is, the influence of the rulers should be visible. There should be some kind of evidence which shows that the authority has been exercised, and direct and indirect evidence of that influence that we are accepting it. The evidence of exercising the authority, the evidence of accepting the authority. These are the 5 important components which are described by the Max Weber. Besides explaining about the components, or you can say characteristics, features of authority, Max Weber has, he has identified, or we can say as he has classified 3 types of authorities. The first is traditional authority, second is charismatic authority, and third is legal rational authority. Now, what is a traditional authority? Many of you must be students of history also, right? Or otherwise in the schools and, in our school, in the social studies, we have studied history. Who would be the rulers? The king, isn't it? The monarch. He was the ruler and he used to exercise the authority. Now, from where did this particular king get that authority to rule over the people? Isn't it? Now, how can he rule? there are several scripts, or there could be several that is a divine power, they say. That is according to the tradition. Otherwise, many people don't even know from where it has been origined. Okay, it has been passing on through the generations. The tradition has been passed over the scriptures, over the books and all, or the rule of the land, that the king is the supreme power. That is the traditions, or we can call it as customs, or you can call it as a convention. So this is called the traditional authority, wherein passes on from generation to generation. And in this, what happens? Who will be the next ruler? Obviously, the person belonging to the same, same family, or the same generation, or the same this king, relative, or son, or the heir of the king would be the next authority who is going to exercise authority over the people. So this is traditional authority, which comes through customs, which comes through conventions, and which comes through beliefs. That is also very important. See, for certain things, there will be no written evidence that particular person is a ruler. The belief of the people that this person is our ruler, this person is a supreme authority of us, and we will obey him. Now, for example, if you see certain tribes, there will be a leader of the tribe, and their family keeps on, passing the authority from generations to generations. That is a belief of the people. Nowhere it is written, because probably they might not even have the scriptures for that. But the belief of the people is more important in the traditional authority. Then, charismatic authority. Now, charismatic authority is that authority which comes from a person who has got, a set of characteristic features. Because some people adopt, they follow some kind of leader. A charismatic leaders could be political leaders, or religious leaders, or these people, they follow depending upon the kind of, it could be the appearance, it could be the communication, it could be the kind of motivation they provide, or the kind of guidance they provide. So this charismatic authority, the people in this charismatic authority, they just follow, they become the disciples. Now, for example, if we talk about the charismatic authority, for your better understanding, we have the religious leaders, isn't it? For the religious leaders, there are several followers who follow the leader. These people are called as the disciples, and depending upon the the different characteristic features which appeal the people, which they feel influenced, which they feel that they are going to change their lives. So these people follow the particular leader. That could be of any religion. There are several charismatic leaders. You can name few charismatic leaders. You can just think who are the different charismatic leaders which you observe in the daily lives. Then legal rational authority. This is the legal rational authority which we have been talking about from the right of the beginning of the class. That is, the legal rational authority is a belief in the legality, that is in the law, in the rules, rule of the society, or rules of the land, we can say. The authority comes from legality, and bureaucracy gains the authority through legal rational authority. Now, bureaucracy, they cannot act because they belong to some particular religious, a charismatic leader. They cannot exercise. They cannot exercise the authority because it comes as tradition, but they exercise authority because it has been provided to them by the law of the society. So this is the difference between the traditional authority, charismatic authority, and legal rational authority. Now, after discussing about the three different types of authorities, now let us see what are the different characteristic features of bureaucracy as given by Max Weber. The first characteristic feature of bureaucracy is impersonal order. Impersonal order is the order given because it is nothing related to the person. It means it is only official. The person, the officer cannot act according to his personal interest, but he has to act according to the rules and regulations of the particular organization. Then division of order, division of labor, that is a sphere of competence. Now, as already have discussed about hierarchy in the first class, that is the principles of organization. When we are discussing about the principles of organization, we discussed about hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing but, just a minute. Yeah. So while we are talking about the hierarchy, there are different levels of authority, isn't it? And when we are talking about bureaucracy, hierarchy is very important because the functions depend upon the kind of level of responsibility and authority. Then rules. Rules are very important for any organization. And especially when we are talking about the bureaucracy, the bureaucrats or the people, officials, they have to follow the rules. They cannot function behind the rules. And they have to work only for the public purpose. That is, they cannot act according to their personal whims and fancies. And officials or the bureaucrats or the body of officials who are part of bureaucracy, they are appointed purely on the technical basis, purely upon the their experience, their technical knowledge. For that, with that only they are appointed. Otherwise, they're not just appointed because they are, they belong to a person. Because they are not appointed because they belong to some particular political party or a political group or a religious group. They are appointed only on the technical basis. So with this, these are the different aspects as we have discussed the bureaucracy about the Max Weber, who has discussed the different, we can say, different types of authorities. Then he has given different characteristic features of bureaucracy. So now we will discuss about the Karl Marx. Okay, so while we are talking about the bureaucracy, besides Max Weber, we have Karl Marx, who has spoken about bureaucracy. Though, he has not written as much as Max Weber, but Karl Marx's contribution is also considered as important because he criticized the Hegel's ideas. Now, what was like his ideas on the state and bureaucracy is for Max Weber, bureaucracy was very important for the society. But whereas Karl Marx felt that bureaucracy just exploits the people, it is not essential. The bureaucracy, the society and the state can exist without bureaucracy. That was the main concept given by the Karl Marx. So when we talk about the Karl Marx views on state and bureaucracy, what Karl Marx says is civil society and state, they cannot be separated. There is no distinction between the civil society and state. They can be, the demarcations can be removed. The civil society, basically, it comprises of individuals, isn't it? It comprises of the people living in the society. So as an individual, they have the desires, they have the aspirations. Besides that, they have the struggles because they struggle for their identity also. Even in the Telangana movement, if you have seen, the people have fought for their identity. That is for the recognition of a separate statehood. So civil society is, it is not a group of individuals, just, of persons, but their desires, their aspirations, and, their struggles and all. So there is always a kind of conflict between the state and the civil society. And Marx says that state is the creation of the civil society, but civil society is not the creation of the state, according to the Karl Marx. He says that state can exist without bureaucracy. So it is not very important for any state. And it is little contradictory to that of what Max Weber has said. And Karl Marx, he has postulated that the service of bureaucracy, whatever the bureaucracy which we are talking about, that which is very important for the people, the state cannot exist without the bureaucracy. All these things which we talk, basically these people are, they work only for the interest of the state because they're working on behalf of the state. They are appointed by the state. So bureaucracy will not consider the aspirations of the people, that is the downtrodden people, less privileged people, the weaker sections of the societies. The interest of the people will not be taken care by so bureaucracy. This was the concept given by Karl Marx. And Karl Marx, he also, he has written a few papers regarding the bureaucracy. And, there's one important writing, the name is very big, that is Zur Kritik der Hegel Kenred's philosophy. It's a little difficult to pronounce it, but, it's a very big name is there. So that is the work of Karl Marx. And, he gave, after this writing, he wrote very less about the bureaucracy. But what was his important postulates was, state is an organ of economically dominant class. And through the power of the state, they exploit the minorities. That was the main concept given by Karl Marx. That is, the state tries to protect the interest of the dominant class. You have to remember just one point. That is, in every state, there is a dominant class, there is a weaker class, isn't it? So the state protects the interest of the dominant class, and it tries to, suppress the interest of the weaker class. And it uses bureaucracy as the instrument for this. So this is the main essence of Karl Marx. And, all the, this suppression and the oppression takes place, and the state can exist without bureaucracy. It was the main intention of Karl Marx. So he spoke about the withering away of state and bureaucracy. So withering away of state and bureaucracy is nothing but when the society is divided into class. Okay, this bureaucracy is formed. Suppose there is no class, there is no division of classes in the society, then where is the need of bureaucracy? Isn't it? There is no need of bureaucracy. Even there is no need of state. The society is enough. When there are no discrimination, when there are no demarcations, and a day will come, there will be, a classless, casteless society is possible. That was the main concept given by the Karl Marx. Now, when we compare, the writings of Max Weber and Karl Marx, so these were the basic differences we can draw. As I told you, Weber said that bureaucracy is very important for the state. It maintains stability. It safeguards the interests of the people. But whereas for Karl Marx, it is an instrument to oppress the weaker sections and to safeguard the interest of the dominant class. So this is what given by the Karl Marx. So with this, we have completed this unit 9, the bureaucracy. That is a bureaucratic approach given by Max Weber and Karl Marx. Now, we will move on to the next block, that is the behavioral approach. Behavioral approach, it is a very interesting approach. And, we have got 3 units in this approach. So in unit 10, we are going to discuss about human relations approach. And this approach has basically given by Elton Mayo. You must get used to all these names, and I know you must be thinking all these names are very difficult to remember, but no, it's not very difficult. Once you go on, aquatizing it, when you go on reading, when you keep on reading again and again, then these words become very easy for you. It's little difficult for everyone for the very first time to remember, but as you go on read, then as you go on proceed, then all these terms and all these names become very easy and they're very interesting as well. So human relations approach. As the name itself suggests, human relations. What was the main criticism for classical approach and scientific approach? That it was missing the human element. The classical approach and the scientific management, they were focusing on the production. Okay, they're always talking about the profits of an organization, but they did not think about the workers' feelings, workers' emotions, workers' aspirations. This was the main criticism for the classical approach and the scientific management approach. So the human relations approach is given by Elton Mayo. Now, what actually happened, as the organizations were suffering from a lot of issues. Now, what were the different issues? The absenteeism was there, low production was there, the workers were not very happy. So all these kind of things were going on. So Hawthorne, in the Elton Mayo was working in the Hawthorne plant, or you can say that he conducted few experiments in Hawthorne plant, and which is in USA, and he has come out with certain conclusions or certain findings, which really it has shaken the thought of philosophy which was existing in those times. So in the actually this all the human relations approach and all which we are talking, actually they are very relevant to the present times also, because Elton Mayo, whatever he postulated in those times, it is little relevant to the present organizations also. So what is actually a human relations approach? What did he really put his argument over is, what he said is, people need recognition and an appreciation. The workers who are working in the organization or the factories or the industries, they are human beings, and they should be treated like human beings. Even in the previous class, I told you the rights of the workers, in the welfare state in the recent times, there are several laws which have come to protect the rights of workers. But earlier there were no such laws. The people were made to work for hours together continuously in the most dangerous, hazardous industries without any proper, the kind of protection. They were made to work. So the workers were treated very badly. So that was the reason for the low production, because the workers never felt as part of the institution or the part of the organization or the part of the industries where they are working. So that was the reason. So Elton Mayo tried to identify the reasons for that. So what he felt, that an organization should work in lines with the feelings, the emotions of the people. It should consider their needs. Then definitely there will be increase in the production. And what he observed is, workers, they do not like the strict supervision. So earlier, these experiments were conducted in 1920s. So in those times, there was strict supervision of the management over the workers and all. They were not given any kind of freedom, or they were not given any kind of liberty. They did not have any say in their remuneration and all. So he has performed few experiments to come out with certain conclusions, so that he can recommend to the management what changes are needed to be made in the organization, so that the production might increase. So Elton Mayo and with his associates, they have conducted 3 major studies. So where did they conduct these studies is in Philadelphia. Okay. They have conducted these experiments in a textile mill in the year 1923. So these experiments, they have become famous by the name Hawthorne Studies. Okay. These are called as Hawthorne Studies. So it is called Hawthorne Studies because that particular place was called as Hawthorne plant. It was the experiments which were conducted was at Hawthorne plant. So now let us see what are the different experiments being conducted by Elton Mayo. So the first experiment which was conducted by Elton Mayo was, what actually happened is there were the people they were leaving the industry very quickly because they did not they were working in a very hazardous condition. So what Mayo did is he has suggested to improve the physical conditions of that particular industry, because what he made suggestions is there should be some kind of break between work. Suppose if the people are working continuously, definitely they will be exhausted. And in the working in the industries or working in the plant, it is the physical strain is involved, isn't it? So they get exhausted, not only physically, but also mentally. So breaks should be given in between so that they can recharge themselves. Nowadays, this is very common. You get a break. You have break. You have breaks in the schools. You have colleges, and in the offices also you have lunch break and all. And all these kind of breaks, they really recharge a human being when you are exhausted physically and mentally and emotionally. So this was suggested in 1920s by Elton Mayo, that minimum small breaks, that is the rest periods of 10 minutes duration in the morning, and the bonus system also was suggested, so that the working conditions, these people can work in the better way. So this was the first part of the study. Then actually the Hawthorne Studies, it was conducted, where 25,000 workers were working. So it was till then what it was felt that if he made an experiment, he divided two groups of the workers. Okay, so in particular one group, he has made changes in the physical conditions. Earlier how the working conditions would be, the workers were used to work without any kind of ventilation, without any kind of air, and no washrooms, and all such conditions were there. So what they have done is they have made changes for one particular group. Okay, for another particular group of workers, no changes were made. Now, what did they expect? That definitely the production is going to be high in the particular group where the changes have taken place. Okay, that was the assumption. Then what happened? Obviously, the production has increased, but production has also increased in the room where there were no changes made. And when the the ventilation was improved, when the light was improved, lighting system was improved, the production increased. But when it was decreased, then also the production increased. So it was against the assumptions. What they thought is, when the conditions are improved, the production will improve. But the production increased even if the facilities were removed. So it was a great, we can say, it has come as a great shock, we can say, or, kind of, wonder, like how this has happened. Then, this is called as illumination effect. That is, here the people, the workers are not responding to the physical changes which are given, but for a feeling that the supervisors are observing us. The supervisors are, they're taking care of us. That kind of feeling has motivated the workers to give their best. So this was the kind of experiment being conducted by the Elton Mayo. And, there were several findings, the experiments were, they were conducted in the different phases. Then, bank wiring experiment was also conducted. Then what is this bank wiring experiment is, the people, they were involved in making the switches which were used in the telephone exchanges. So the workers were moved in the separate room, and, they wanted to give the incentive to them. That is, whoever produces the more, products, the incentive will be given. But these people, they started discussing and they maintain a particular standard, that is the informal group. The importance of informal group it was identified, recognized by Elton Mayo in the functioning of the organization. So the informal, what is informal groups is, besides being very formal, like, between the hierarchy and all, the work division and all, the people, they talk among themselves that, no, we are not going to produce more than this. There are several reasons which we have discussed in the scientific management also. So these kind of experiments really brought out several findings. They felt that suppose if the production goes high, some people might be removed. That could be the reason, or they really did not want to work more. In this experiment, another important point which they really found is there were certain people who were high performers. Okay, there were people who were poor performers, and incentive system was also announced. But these high performers really did not perform very high because they wanted to protect the interest of the weaker performers also. That means the kind of oneness among the workers was also observed during these experiments. That is the importance of oneness among the different people who are really working together. So these were the different experiments which were being conducted at Hawthorne. So now, what are the features of human relations management? So we can say that in human relations management, the people, they, the workers' relationships, that is the informal groups, played an important role in this. It totally changed the attitude of the individuals. The management's perspective has totally changed in looking towards the workers. They try to understand the needs of the people, and the whatever the grievances of the people were there, they were really understood. And with this, the studies later on, several studies have come up. The studies like the motivation theories which we are going to study in the coming classes. Then the whatever Maslow's hierarchy needs theory, or whether it could be theory X, theory Y, all these theories, they were later, we can consider this as a starting point. Then taking human relations theory as a basis, Ruthless Burgers, he has also conducted experiment, and they conducted several case studies on the behavior of the workers. How do the workers behave? Are these people, do they work for the economic incentives, or they work for the appreciation, or they really work for the rewards? And all these things are being verified, and the experiments were conducted, and all these studies, they are very useful for the organizations. And today also, when we talk about the functioning of the organizations, in the organizational behavior, you study even in the management, that is the MBA. MBA, you study all these theories also in that, if you study in the future, if you take up the management and all. So they highlight, the importance of the needs, the emotions of the workers who really can contribute their best to the organization. Now, human relations theory, no doubt, this was the first kind of theory which really took into consideration about the needs of the workers, but it is also, not free from the criticism. So why was it criticized? What were the main points on which human relations theory was criticized? Is it was considered, it just talked about the human element in an organization, but it did not speak about the structure. It did not speak about the principles of organization. Like, as we have discussed in the classical approach and even in the introductory classes, that certain principles are very important for any organization, whether it is, hierarchy or division of the work or the coordination and all these aspects have been totally ignored. The structure of an organization, the formal relationship was totally ignored in human relations approach. They were just concentrating on the relationship between the different workers. So this was the main criticism laid over the human relations approach. And another important thing is what we spoke in the scientific management approach. That is, there is a specific way of performance of work. There are certain steps. That is the scientific management approach. The variables which were discussed in scientific management, they were also missing in the human relations approach. And few have criticized that all these findings are waste. All these findings are, they are not authentic, because suppose you behave in a particular way when you are observed. Suppose if there is no one, nobody is observing you, then you behave in a certain way. But if you are being observed, it could be your teacher, it could be your parents, it could be your friends, anybody, then you behave in the other way. So that is a human nature. So definitely when some experiment is going on, when you know certain experiment is going on, probably you may behave in the other way. So whatever the findings have come in these experiments are probably not authentic. This was the criticism of few of the thinkers, we can say. So with this, I think we have completed this human relations approach. So now let us see if we have any questions. Let me check. Just a minute, let me check if there are any questions. No questions. Traditional authority created this. Important announcement. Yes, I'll do it. Actually, I want to change one subject. See, that is the administrative matter. For that, I think you just go through the prospectus. Probably you must be having details in that. Otherwise, you please contact the university numbers which are available. So manipulative technique. See, manipulative technique is nothing but actually human relations approach. It was, created when the capitalism has come. So what they felt that what is the main purpose of the capitalism? That is to get the more profits. So what they criticized is human relations approach seeks for more profits only to satisfy the needs of the capitalist. That is, it is manipulative. And as I also told you that, the behavior of the people might change from, being observed. So the findings might not be authentic. Is power and authority same? See, I have discussed, right? I have allotted a lot of time for discussing about the power and authority. Power is different and authority is different. Power is, a kind of influencing the people. It could be through, even if there is a resistance, it need not always come legally. But whereas authority comes through legal aspect. That is, you exercise the influence through the law. That is authority. How to make questions, answers, chapter wise. See, model questions are given. See, check your progress. There are certain questions in the book. After you read, then you can make answers for that. And even in the end, you have few model questions. I think that could be enough for you. What is public administration meaning? So please, you go through the previous YouTube. On YouTube, you have the session. There's a complete session on public administration meaning, importance, and all. Well, some important. What important? Hawthorne Studies. See, just now what we discussed about Elton Mayo's experiment, that is only the Hawthorne Studies. Can we write answer in our own words? Yes, you can write in your own words. And we'll really appreciate if you write in your own words, because that is what we need. You need to be more creative, right? That will be really, you can enhance your skills and knowledge. And what else? I did not receive my books. Okay. See, probably you might be receiving. And any other questions? Yeah. See, important announcement which I'm going to make is this 25th is the Friday from 3 to 4. We have a webinar by Sri Yashwant Reddy. He is selected for IPS recently. He secured All India rank 93. So he's going to be part of our Pratibha webinar series, which we are organizing. That is, Department of Public Administration is organizing for the benefit of all the civil services aspirants and competitive examination aspirants. You please be part of that webinar. You can ask your questions. If you are in the preparation process, in the chat box, you can leave the questions. You can hear to the Yashwant Reddy directly in the webinar. So the link will be shared with you all. It will be very useful for you. The link will be shared in the group. It is from 3 to 4 on Friday. That is on 25th of this month. So this will be very useful program for you. And I wish all of you will be part of this. Yes. Elton Mayo is the person who has given the human relations theory, and he has made the Hawthorne experiments. We have discussed this in the class, and you can just go through the book. More information is given about Elton Mayo. And I think with this, we have completed our questions. So probably in the next class, I will share the previous question papers. I'll try to share. And another important announcement also I'll share in the next class. So with this, I'm going to close this session. All of you take little time of yours to study, so that it will not be a burden for you, at the end of the, all the classes all together, all the subjects studying will be a little difficult for you. So yes, webinar, yeah, I will share. Okay. So all the best for you, all of you. Time management, manage your time. Nothing is impossible. Okay. Don't think that you have many subjects and you're working or you're a student or whatever it is. Everybody has got the same 24 hours. So share, divide your time so that you can really do well in your exams, not only exams, but whatever your goal is. Okay. With this, I'm ending the session now. Thank you, one and all.